I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swear, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. That you might work.
Welcome back to another episode of the Michel Matters Podcast. I'm Jacques Michel.
And I'm Jackie Michel.
Welcome back.
Hey, guys.
Episode 94.
Yeah.
One step closer to 100.
I forgot what number it was.
I keep track, man. We getting there.
Yeah.
We getting there. I was a little nervous for a little bit, but no, we got this.
Yeah, life is just lifing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. We've been recording at a different clip lately, so
yeah,
it's been kind of good. So I guess just to get right into it, this was another topic that you came up with. You came to me.
Yes,
I think it was a while back. But yeah, go ahead. I don't know if you want to just intro it.
Yeah, so I was talking to a friend of mine, which is how a lot of these topics kind of come up from. We had a conversation, and she is a social worker, and she was just telling me about, like, you know, just repeat conversations that she has with some of the kids that she works with. And I'm just like, what do you think it is that doesn't break through to them, you know, as to why they're still out here, like, running the streets or thinking they're doing something, but really you're about to just end up in jail, sir. You know, like, what is it that doesn't click? And she was just like, who was going to tell them any different? And
sorry, right?
Yeah. And so I was just like, man, like, when did it click for us? You know, and how are we helping the young people in our lives, you know, for it to click for them that, like, there's more than, like, whatever street you live on, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
when you came
into it
and you asked, I can't remember if you asked me, but you talked to me about that whole situation. I wasn't confused because I kind of get it as far as, like, I'm not going to pretend like I was the most, like, sheltered person or that, you know, we were the poorest of poor, but there were a lot of things that I didn't do until I got much older.
Right.
So I could understand somebody who comes from, like, even lesser situations not having been exposed to as much things.
Right.
'Cause it definitely happens.
And sometimes it's not even being exposed to, like, the most grandiose of things, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
even, like, letting your kids go on a field trip.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember that was a thing for my mom. She always wanted me to go. Like, whenever there's a field trip, she's like, you're going to go.
Yeah.
She didn't want me to feel left out. But she also wanted me to see whatever it was that, you know, the field trip had to offer, even if it was going to FIU.
But, I mean, those field trips, I feel like, if you do just all the regular, like, school field trips, yeah, you'll go to the zoo and the aquarium and all that stuff, which, actually, I've never been to the aquarium.
To the aquarium?
I never been to this aquarium. But you'll do that, but there are a lot more, like, I don't know, like, different things. I think one of the things you mentioned was like going to the beach. Right? Like, you're not going to the beach on a school field trip for the most part.
Right.
So to
something that is so available.
Yeah. And
now, at least, in Miami. You know what I mean?
It's super available, but you're also talking about, depending on where you're from, dealing with people who didn't maybe have as much access to the beach. So they may not have, like, you know, if you don't do stuff a lot, then, like, swimming pools and stuff. For somebody like, why learn how to swim? I don't go swim at all. Like, it's not something that comes up enough where it's like, why learn how to do it?
Yeah. I brought up the beach because that was like a pivotal realization for me that, like, I had an interview with the Big Brother Big Sister program that I had signed up for last year. And in that interview, the woman who worked for the program, she was like, I was a part of, you know, I used to be a little. And my big introduced me to the beach. She was like, I had never been to the beach, and we're from Fort Lauderdale. Like, there was no reason as to why we never went to the beach.
Yeah.
But she took me and my little sister, and we had a great time. Like, her big introduced her to the beach. And I was like, oh, okay. So I told you, and then you said that. So when was your first time going to the beach then? Like, do you even remember?
Yeah, I kind of remember. Not like super.
You also don't care for the beach.
Vivid,
like that,
I don't,
so.
but that's because like my mom is like deathly afraid of water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like she'll maybe like dip her toe in, but she not.
But we'll go on a whole cruise.
All of that, but she won't go into like pools or go into the water at the ocean. None of that. So I remember I went. I want to say I went twice as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Hollover Beach both times. Like, I just remember that was like, when we did go, it was always kind of the same routine. Like, we would get like Popeye's chicken, and we would go to the beach and go to Hollover. And then, my mom would just sit by all of our stuff. My dad would go in the water because he's like really good swimmer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I would like go in a little bit, but it was nothing. It was not something I did a lot. Right. So I don't have like
vivid.
Yeah, a lot of memories of the beach and all that. So like, I get someone who didn't go that much because you live in Miami, 18 years, you tell somebody you only been to the beach like 3 times. Mm-hmm. And then, because I've been to the beach other times. And I guess this is something we'll get into later, but like I did go on a school field trip to the beach, but it was like a special like field trip. Like it wasn't like one of those things that everybody got to do type stuff.
I think we went to the beach a good amount of times growing up because I mean it's pretty cheap to do. You just bring all your cousins or whatever. So we did that. But I think one thing that like a lot of kids do growing up is go to Disney World. And we didn't do a lot of that. Like we did it once from what I can remember. And I remember we drove up that day and came back that night. Okay. Cause I just remember like, it's one of my earliest memories. And I remember waking up super early, and then falling asleep, of course, in my uncle's minivan at the time. And we just all drove to Orlando. It was probably like 4 a.m. because it was super dark. Got there and we had pictures and everything. And then, bought the ears or whatever. And then came back down that night. And that's like the only, I don't know, memory I have of Disney World. Until like maybe high school or middle school or something. When it's like a field trip.
Oh, so you went when you were like really young?
Yeah, I went when I was 5. With like all the cousins, aunts, uncles. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't go again until like maybe 8th grade. Or something like that. I don't know. But I don't care for Disney Worlds like that. Yeah. But that may be why.
And it's, another one of things like it depends on your environment. Yeah. So like my mom not getting on no rides. She not doing all that. So growing up, I didn't do that stuff either. And let alone go to like a theme park. Yeah. Like I'm talking, you growing up, you go to the St. James Carnival by the house. And then what?
I've been to that once. Once. For what?
It's a cultural experience.
Well, we have the fair. Yeah, I mean, I experienced it.
The fair don't got nothing on the St. James Carnival. You wouldn't understand.
I'm good.
But St. James Carnival yearly, at least one night is getting shot up. That's a fact.
That's probably why I didn't go.
Cultural experience. You gotta be there. But so yeah, Disney, I don't think I went until I was in college. That was the first time I went to Disney. Like I went to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios like twice or 3 times in like middle school, high school, that range. But Disney World, like, nah, I ain't see Mickey till that had to be like my 3rd or 4th year in college. Yeah. So yeah, I was like a junior.
Mickey's Very?
Yeah, that was the first time I went.
Oh, okay.
That was the first time I went to Disney was for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas. And it just felt weird going like for the first time as an adult. Cause none of that stuff interested me. Like, it was like.
Disney is just not, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I feel like there's just so many better parks.
Yeah.
But yes, like we knew it existed. We just didn't go like that. It just wasn't like a thing. But yeah, was there anything else that like you didn't really?
Those are kind of the big things. Like, not big, but some of the cultural things that I didn't really get to do. And so when you brought up that whole like idea, like even there were a lot of like restaurants I never went to, and even like simple things like I ain't eat Wendy's till I was in like,
all right,
everything I love. I don't think I ate Wendy's till I was like a senior in high school.
Are you kidding me?
I promise. On everything I love, I never ate that.
Wow,
I never ate that.
Wendy's was like Wednesday after school.
There used to be one, but in my neighborhood, but I never went. My parents we got Wendy's at home. Like, it was always food
Wendy's money.
Exactly. So we never. It was just certain things I didn't do, and it was kind of like you said, like who was gonna tell me, like who was gonna expose me, to certain things.
It was right there.
It was right there, but who was gonna expose us? And that's where I feel like for me, there were like two things specifically that really like opened my just like eyes to more or whatever. And it was athletics and education. Those two things like broadly like exposed me to so much that I don't think my parents could have given me just on their own. But yeah, we can go into those two a little bit more. But what do you think like was the change for you? What was the catalyst for you just seeing more and then doing more?
Yeah, I think my parents were a big factor in that. Yeah. And also like other family members. So I always saw my parents, and I think they did a pretty good job, like, you know, taking us on vacations, like a summer vacation every year or something like that. Or we would drive to Canada, cause my dad didn't want to like pay for everybody's ticket or whatever.
Yeah. Understood.
So like we would see different states on the way there, or, just even being in Canada, or like going to the islands cause we had family there, you know. So I think I saw a good amount of like what was out there. Yeah. Or I knew that there was more, even if I didn't see everything. Yeah. But I think also having siblings that were like way older than me.
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, it's 7 years. So I know some people who have like siblings who are 15 years older than them, but that's crazy. 7 years is still a good amount of gap for me to see like, oh, like you get to go here on your senior trip. Okay. You get to do this. You get to drive at this age. So I could kind of like prepare and see how I wanted to do some of those things. But yeah, you could expound on your,
so like when I think back, if it wasn't for sports or maybe some extracurricular academic things that I did, I can see how there are people who like live in a city and have never left that city.
I saw that a lot in New York.
People who had like never
people
left.
Who literally didn't even leave Brooklyn to go to Manhattan.
Yeah, like
I'm like, what?
And when I like if you just say it like real quick, that sounds crazy.
It is crazy.
But when I really even think about my own life, that could have happened.
Yeah. Because you didn't really go to South Beach or anything like that?
South Beach. I didn't. I had heard of South Beach. You know, you live in Miami all this time, but I didn't know what that was or like where that was. Yeah. Until I was in post-college, maybe?
Nah.
You be thinking I'm playing. I'm dead serious.
I do be thinking you playing.
I'm dead serious. Like, it's just some things that I didn't do. I had no business being there. Yeah. I had nothing to do over there. My parents not going over there. It just was nothing that ever crossed my mind in that way. Because it didn't mean nothing to me. It wasn't necessary. And it wasn't like I had a bunch of friends, I guess, that were also hanging out there.
Right.
And I felt left out. It just wasn't a thing. And I mean, and maybe it would have been during like my college years and stuff, but I wasn't home.
Right.
So those things never really like came up like that.
See, I think like my first real experience, because we went to the beach. So I'm sure we went to South Beach, but that's where like a sibling would come in for me.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I think our house was getting tinted for termites or something.
Okay.
And so they were like, you need to find somewhere to go. And probably somebody was at my grandma's house already.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother was college aged at the time. And so he had a friend who worked at a hotel on South Beach.
Yeah.
So we got to stay at that hotel.
See?
For like nothing. And we got Popeyes and brought it to the hotel and stuff. It was a pretty cool weekend. But because of him, you know, like he hung out in South Beach and had friends who were working. Yeah. It was like, oh, I got to stay on South Beach or whatever. Yeah. But then, of course, I had my own experiences on South Beach. So
yeah, none of that.
Yeah.
But once again, you know, circumstances, environment.
Right.
You just kind of gotta be in the right spaces and circles, or it's just circumstance. Yeah. Sometimes with the way things work out. And I feel like that's how I ended up doing certain things, was because of certain circumstances in my life. So like I said, growing up, I was in all types of extracurricular activities. I was in the gifted program. So because I was in certain things, like I got to do some stuff. So like it was small, but even leaving my school to go to another elementary school or middle school for different like competitions or
science fair.
Nah, definitely not science fair. My science fair projects were the worst, but
second place maybe.
I was gonna call you a nerd.
Don't do it.
I was gonna call you a nerd. Like who?
That's fine.
But who like celebrates finishing second in the science fair? That's wild.
What you mean? It was 3 spots.
Nobody cares.
You didn't make it.
Anyway. So like one of the big ones for me growing up was I did like a gifted / magnet summer school thing in middle school. Mm-hmm. And I had to go to Coral Springs Elementary. So like every morning I would get on a bus, and think about how long a bus ride that is. Yeah. From North Miami to Coral Springs. And we would stop along the way and pick kids up. I was on the bus at like 5 and school didn't start till like 9 because that's how long the ride was. But in that, I saw a lot of stuff. And then even in the program, like we had a bunch of, what's the things called? Like field trips, every Friday that we would do. And one of them was we went to the beach for one of them. Mm-hmm. And it's the only time I legitimately built a sandcastle in my life was in that thing. Cause one of our field trips was we went to the beach so we could have like a sandcastle contest.
Okay. That sounds nerdy.
It was nerdy, but it was like, I wouldn't be able to teach someone how to build a sandcastle if I didn't go through that process. Correct. You know what I mean? And it's like, it was things like that. I was like, man, I never went to the beach and did something like that. And that wasn't going to happen with my family. Mm-hmm. So I was able to get exposed to like that. And even more so growing up, like I was able to go to, you know, little stuff. I went to Orlando for different like competition because of school. And it was just things that I wouldn't have done in my regular day-to-day if it wasn't for that. And then sports, just in general, like sports took me a lot of places. I had a lot of experiences with sports. And it was like probably to me, one of the better, like I met so many different people playing sports. I went different places. It was just a real experience, like going out of town without my parents. Yeah. A lot. We went I was out of town a lot.
Yeah. And then seeing those different cities, like wherever you're playing.
We were like Savannah, right? Melbourne, Orlando, you know, just that general like from here to Orlando, I've probably been everywhere. I feel like, you know, all the you know, Palm Beaches, Deerfield. We used to do those all the time. And it, even if it was just getting me out the house, like, to not be in my city limits, as often. And I thought that was, when I think back, it really helped me develop and grow and just know more and see more. Yeah. So I definitely feel like those two things really made a big change for me. And I think that's where I also find myself trying to give back, because I knew what it did for me, like, growing up. And that's why I love sports so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I think also just like, so I mentioned other family members. I think seeing how other people lived. So I wasn't only in my neighborhood with my family. I spent a lot of weekends with my cousins, like in North Miami or like wherever, like, you know. So I didn't only see like, oh, this is suburban life and everybody's in their cushy homes or whatever. Like, we would take the bus to Aventura Mall just because, you know, like, we're dumb and teenagers. I don't know, like, just seeing different ways of living and seeing, especially for me, like, where we were like one of the few Black families, and then going to North Miami and being like, oh, we all here. Okay, cool. Like, it was just different. And I like that. So I kind of feel like I got the best of both worlds. Yeah. But even that, it wasn't like we were, like, my cousins were in the hood. Yeah. You know, like.
But, like, you wouldn't even know to dream more. Like, if it wasn't for certain things, would I have ever gone to, like, a Dolphins game or a UM game back in the day? Like, those weren't things I would have been able to do, because coming up as, like, you know, immigrant kid, my dad don't care about American football. Right. He's not taking me to a UM game. Yeah. But my youth coaches will, because, you know, they have the right connections.
Not throwing some ball in the backyard.
Nah, it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, it was my way of also, like, fully, like, diving into American culture, because I wouldn't have got it just staying at home and being with my parents all the time. Yeah. So it helped, you know, bridge that gap that exists for, you know, second generation kids, who want to, you know, be a part of the culture, and really dive in. And that's, to me, the things that need to be exposed to kids so that they can want for more, dream for more. I remember I had to be in like late middle school. And I remember there was like representatives from FIU who had came to our school. And this had to be early, and FIU's like really like coming up in Miami. And it made me think about college. And granted, I'm young, but it's, you know, it's okay. There's things after, and like people like really like, oh no, you know, ask me, what do you like? And I'm a kid. I don't know what I like. And I remember I told, when thinking back, like I was an idiot, but I told him I liked fish or something like that. What? Because, okay, so growing up, the correlation, every time somebody heard my name, they would make reference to Jacques Cousteau. Okay. And Jacques Cousteau was a marine biologist. So I kind of figured like that's what I was supposed to do.
Just because of him?
I ain't know no better. Okay. The profession I wanted to do before that was a garbage man, because it's funny, but it's also city like
benefits. Wait. What's up?
It's funny now, right? But when I think back to why I wanted to be a garbage man, so my youth basketball coach was also my neighborhood garbage man. Mm-hmm. Back when the garbage man used to actually get out the truck. Wow. Yeah. So he would, like, I would see him all the time, and, you know, playing in the backyard, you see the garbage man come, and I looked up to him. Yeah. You know, that was my youth basketball coach. So I literally just wanted to be a garbage man because my basketball coach is a garbage man, and I wanted to be just like him.
He made an impact on you.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Right. Like, those are the things that I gained throughout life. Like, I just wanted to do it because that's what I saw. Yeah. But yeah, about the college, so like, the guy from FIU was saying, oh yeah, we have a great marine biology program, this and that. I'm like, word? Like, okay, I want to go to FIU, not knowing nothing about college or whatever and how trash FIU is. Like, I never would have even like had them thoughts yet. But it was just stuff like that, like to push me further and to do more.
Yeah. So then when did it click for you? Because now we're talking about college.
Yeah.
When did you even move beyond FIU or, you know, going to your neighboring college to like, oh, I can go anywhere, really?
I want to say it was high school.
So it was high school.
Yeah, Judy walked so I could run. Like,
it's always like that though.
It is.
That's the benefit.
It is like of not being the first child.
Yeah. The experiment.
And thank goodness I had that in my life. And Judy went and she started FIU or whatever. And I just like, okay, so college is attainable. Like, if Judy could do it, I could definitely do it. You know what I mean? But then it was, I had plans to go away for school.
Yeah.
Which can be a stretch with immigrant parents. And that was a whole nother struggle. But yeah, because I saw her do it, it seemed like a realistic goal. Yeah. And then college was a whole nother. Like, you want to talk about being exposed and opening up my mind to stuff. College that's what really, really did it if you want to go there.
Right. So how did you, I mean.
What about you?
I know. I don't know. I don't know when it really clicked. Probably high school as well. Just because I knew I was going to have to be making legit decisions soon. Yeah. But I think a lot of the drawback, and I'm experiencing, or I have experienced this with like younger kids who are like, oh, you're in fashion. Like, you know, I'm interested or whatever. And then a major problem becomes their parents. Yeah. So I think for me, as open as my parents were with a lot of things that they were not open to, like to fashion or whatever it took to get there. Because for them, you know, they probably just thinking of the little old lady in Haiti who used to just, you know, cool or whatever. Yeah. Alterations. And she was broke all the time. Mm-hmm. So that's not what they wanted from me. But, you know, they wasn't watching the reality TV that I was. And knowing that, like, there's YouTube out here. Like, people are like, I guess, you know, it's a whole different world. And we'll get into our series later. Yeah. So stay tuned. But, yeah, I think just seeing, just at the time, like, we were no longer using floppy disks anymore. Yeah. You know, like, things were taking a turn. Yeah. And I think I noticed that. Mm-hmm. And like Facebook was around, like just life was different. Yeah. So I think for me, it was like, oh, there could be bigger than this. And my life may look completely different than like what I think just because of all the opportunities out there. So I think it was high school, as many obstacles that there were that tried to maybe hold us back from seeing what those opportunities were. Teachers or whatever, it was just like, nah, there has to be more than this. Yeah. Like, I know there's more than this.
Were there any like people in your life you feel like inspired you or motivated you for more in that way?
Like besides my siblings? Because I think my sister was a big one. Because she would always come for the summer, and while she was in school, she was also writing articles. Because at first she was doing like journalism, and she's a teacher now, but like, yeah. So she would write a lot. And I was like, wow, she would show me these websites that she was on and like news stations that she worked with. I was like, that's cool that you could do that, like in college. So that was an eye opener. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of like a pivotal person.
I mean,
yeah, I feel like,
I think those are, I don't think I'm asking you to pull out like a, you know,
like I met Jay-Z one day.
Like I don't need all that. Like,
no, I think it was mainly family. And then like, you know, maybe older kids that we went to school with that I knew like, oh, they went to Harvard. Like, that's cool. Or, you know, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because those are always like the more realistic, like when, like when I was in elementary school, they did one of those like, who's your role model essays or whatever. Mm-hmm. And for mine, I did my dad. And I wrote my essay on my dad.
Of course.
I don't know if it was because... I'm not going to bring up what I think it could be, but it was a whole big thing that my dad was my role model, that I didn't pick like Michael Jordan or at that time, whatever, like and a rapper, an athlete or something. I picked my dad, and the whole like administration, they made me read my essay in front of the whole school. Like it was a whole big thing.
You have a dad? Yeah, that's like, nah. Why are you laughing?
That's
real.
And at the time, because I've just never been one of those people who like, fantasize about the rappers or that. Like, I like what's in front of me, like something I think I can actually get to.
Right.
And so for me, yeah, my dad at that time was a role model. Someone who came here from a different country and learned the language and worked and did all that stuff. Like, to me, that's a hero, a role model.
Yeah.
But I don't think we always have to like, who has inspired you? Like for me, I would definitely say it's my parents, my sister, her friends, because they were all around the same age, and seeing them like go away for school, because some of her friends went away for school. And I was like, okay, so it can be done.
Yeah.
It's less scary. And yeah, it just opened my mind up to all the different possibilities that we could have. And my goal was like, at that time, to take that information that I got and then hand it down and hopefully make the path easier for the people behind me.
So I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my next question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are a coach, and you said that that's like one of your passions. Like, even it comes with the coaching job, to expose these kids to like, hey, basketball is like, we're not just here for basketball or football or whatever sport. Like, this could also lead you other places. That's the whole point of this. So do you think that has clicked for any of the people that you've coached? Because it's been years now. So
I don't know, because you don't always know how you affect people. I would like to believe it has.
And some kids, they kind of have that in them too.
Yeah. And like they'll make, certain like every year without fail, I don't want to jinx it, but every year without fail, I get a Happy Father's Day text from one of the kids I coach, if not multiple. That's every cute. Year, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to hope that and not just mine, because I want to say our coaching has always been like a community type situation between like me, Sap, and whatever other coaches we have with us. That's always the goal, to affect people in that way. Has it happened? I don't know. I hope so. One of the things, and this happens
you follow some of them. You kind of know.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of it was
that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I let them tell that part. I don't know. But one of the things that, like, consistent with every group of kids that we coach is, like, because SAP works at the school, that's the other coach. They always ask me, like, oh, what do you do for a living? Like, how much money do you make?
They've asked you that?
1,000%. I get asked that question with every group that we coach. At some point, one of the kids asked me, what do you do for a living? How much money you make?
Nice. These are good questions. No, they are.
And I struggle with it, right? Because I don't, the American, they won't like talk about money. And even with kids, because they like talking a lot. And they may say it to certain people at different times.
Right.
But at the same time, I do like to try to inspire the youth. Like, because so you don't have to think that the only way to make a decent amount of money is to like be a professional athlete, to be a rapper,
right,
or do unscrupulous things that will get you landed in jail to make a decent amount of money.
Unscrupulous. Okay.
That's an SAT word. Look at
college educated, huh?
You know what I mean? So like I'm big on promoting college and also promoting the trades.
Yeah.
There's this program. So I work in the construction industry and I always kind of like, you know, sometimes it's underwhelming to some of the kids, but it's a great field, I think, for people who maybe don't want to go to college. And there's they do a job, career day, I guess that's what they call it. They do a career day for construction in Miami or South Florida. And there is almost no black representation at the career fair.
Interesting.
And I really do think that's interesting that we don't have that type of representation. And I want to get people incorporated in that. Like, that's one of the things that I really plan on making a real like conscious effort for the next career fair is to get black schools involved in their career fair, because a lot of those kids are exposed to those careers and eventually end up going to like FIU has a great construction program that is. So the FIU School of Construction is named after a really big company in South Florida. You do well there, you can end up getting a job. Like it's just so many opportunities because it's a good amount of money in it, right? If you do the right things, and it's but those are the type of things that I like try to do even throughout my coaching. Is they're gonna ask. I know they're gonna ask. They ask every year, and just provide different options. For things they could do.
I love that.
What about you, big sister? Because I thought that was great.
What?
You becoming a big sister?
Yeah, I did too.
Just a bad time.
Yeah, I think just COVID is just weird. So it's made the whole process kind of strange. But it's interesting because she's kind of growing up in a time where all of the shifts that I saw in high school taking place are now, you know, in the here and now. And so she knows that there is more. Yeah. So a lot of the conversations we have, she's like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this, this. And this is how I'm going to do it. And this. And I'm like, okay. Like
the internet has changed things.
Yeah. So it's a lot of just, like, kind of just helping her through that, and like guiding her, and saying like, okay, have you looked into like maybe this program, or just kind of seeing what's available out there, because there are a lot of programs available, and she is, you know, a public school kid, so there's even more available to her, which a lot of people don't know. So it's kind of that. It's not even just like opening her eyes to stuff. I mean, to experiences, yes. So once like we're kind of figuring out when we're going to have like an outing and start planning that. So yeah, opening her eyes to experiences in South Florida. But as far as once she's ready to leave home, she kind of knows what she wants. Yeah. Like she's a big dreamer, which is probably why they paired her with me.
Makes sense.
So, but yeah, so I'm excited to do that because I just feel like right now, she just needs to experience being a kid. Yeah. I think that's what it is. But because she knows what's out there, she's just like, I'm ready to go. Like, you know, give me like 7 years and I'm out, you know? And I'm just like, but, you know, enjoy this time in your life too. Yeah. So
I think with the internet kids, like the kids who grew up only knowing the internet and high-speed internet, that not just internet, but only knowing high-speed internet in your pocket from birth, they have access to so much information. Yeah. But I feel like, I mean, with kids in general, I just feel like they need a lot more guidance on how to properly analyze and use the information that because they got it. They got all the information. Them kids know how to do stuff on phones and computers that I may never be able to do, but you know, just understanding how to use your gifts and some of the information you got, like that's the wisdom that you can get from a mature older person. Yes. that I feel like we are tasked. Like, I think it is...
Because some would think the same about us, probably.
Yeah.
An older generation.
And thank goodness I had people in my life who were there for me and were able to help me in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what we're here to do. And yeah, I hope you get to be a great big to more kids. And, hopefully I can coach hundreds of more kids and keep spreading that knowledge.
Yeah. You guys let us know, when it clicked for you. Is it clicking now? Is it still a process? And yeah, we can have this conversation in another forum. I don't know, in the comments, in the DMs, whatever.
Let us know how you were impacted and how you can impact people.
Yes.
Those are always great. And in coming days and months, I think we'll be able to let you know how you can impact people around the holidays too. We'll talk about that, but future episodes.
All right. Let's do the business spotlight. All right. So for this episode's business spotlight, I am highlighting a fabric store that I frequent in Little Haiti.
Frequent.
Called Bortan Fabrics. I don't know if they have an Instagram, Facebook, any of that. So we will put the address and the number and maybe hours below. But I love going to this shop. It's the same man that's been there. And the last time I went, he made sure to remind me that he's been there for longer than I was born.
It's a flex.
It is. And especially now with Little Haiti changing and stuff, he is able to, still be there. Yeah. I think that says a lot. And because we were talking about just like learning about what's out there, and stuff like that, the last time I went, I think I was one of the last customers of the day. So he was actually able to like talk to me.
Yeah, engage.
Yeah. And so I asked him like, what's up with this business, right? Because I don't see a lot of fabric stores. And he's like, honestly, it's a very profitable business. He's like, you should open one. I was like, no. Like, I don't.
Don't
I know.
Too fast.
I'm not going to block my own blessings, but he made it seem like it was very profitable. And he's been in business, obviously, for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And he told me a story about like one of the first, I guess, resellers or wholesalers that he worked with when he opened the store. And it was a white guy. And he came with his suitcase full of fabrics or whatever. And, this is a Haitian man. And he's like, okay, I'm going to get this, whatever fabrics he wanted. And he got the fabric, did the sale, whatever. And like a couple minutes later, the white guy walks right back in. And he's like, I just have to say this. I'm not racist. But
gotta add that.
Right. I don't even know if he said that or if the owner of the fabric store just put that in for me.
Okay,
yeah. Okay. Like said it for me because of the times we're in. And he was like, but this is the first time I've ever sold to a black man. Like not a lot of black people own fabric shops.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not either. When I was in New York, it was mainly white owners or Indian, like family owned. And I do know like a family owned Indian shop here as well that I frequent. So I guess it's just not a business that we do.
Yeah.
But he was like, honestly, like if I could tell you anything, this is a profitable business. Miami is a tough market, but you could do it if you wanted to. So I just appreciated him taking the time to like just kind of school me on stuff that I didn't know. As I'm buying elastics, Hey. But yeah, I know everybody out there probably has a grandma or auntie or something that sews. So go send them to Bortan Fabrics. He knows what he's doing. They have everything. It's a little unorganized, but most fabric stores are. So yeah, if you need needle and thread, go to Bortan Fabrics and get your life.
All right, Jackie, put y'all on. Go check it out.
Yes.
All right, guys, another episode in the books.
Yeah, make sure you DM us, follow us on
Yes.
Instagram, email us at michelmatters@gmail.com. Anything else?
Subscribe to the YouTube.
Yes.
And don't forget you can always talk back on the voicemail line. The number is always in the description.
That's right.
All right, guys. See you.
Bye.
Peace.
When I pull up on you, then I might swerve, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. When I pull up on you, then I might swerve, ayy. Double off deuce, ayy. That you might work, ayy. That you might work. That you might work.